Thank you for coming to our production of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. My name is Desiree Miller. I was the semester's director. Thank you so much for showing me your house. I am so happy right now. Thank you so much. So right now I just want to make sure everyone turns off their cell phones and pagers, just so we have no flash photography, and enjoy the show.
It is to dismiss a scientific possibility so absolutely. Have you even read my article?
The London Journal of Biology, March 15, 1888. The Seeds of Cain and Abel, Unlocking the Dual Nature of Man, by Dr. Henry Jekyll, MD, PhD.
Of course I've read your paper, and it's you who's irresponsible.
Unlock your brain for a moment, Hasty. Are you always the same man you are right now?
Yes, of course.
Nonsense.
From the Personal Journal of Henry Jekyll, July 21st, 1885, 3:23 a.m. I awoke a moment ago with a strange, vaguely heatly idea in my head. Thesis: a man's life, the romantic view says, is seen as a series of physical and emotional changes. Antithesis: these changes, the unromantic view says, are all traceable to chemical reactions in the body. Synthesis: by manipulating the chemicals in the body, it may be possible to change man's emotional and physical state to a tremendous degree. Would this mean inherently altering the course of a man's life? Something to mull over in the morning.
When you have become enraged over some matter or had too much brandy, are you surely then the same Dr. Hasty Landing we see before us now?
First of all, you of all people know that I don't drink brandy immoderately, nor do I succumb to rage. But even if I did, I wouldn't say I became a different man. Rather, a different aspect of my personality comes to the foreground.
Well, there you have argued my point. Within every man, every person, there's a second person bursting to come out.
I didn't say that at all.
April 5th, 1886. I am convinced it is true. All men are really two men, or perhaps 3, 4, or 10,000. And if chemistry is truly the key to all things human, there is a chemical way to unlock the door which holds this second man inside.
Let me ask you to look at your life as if it were a series of choices. Shall I study law or medicine? Shall I marry or devote my life to my work? Shall I pay for this pocket watch or simply take it? Shall I tolerate this rude man insulting me, or shall I smash my fist into his face?
Henry, that's not science.
Imagine if we could set that man free, the man buried inside. You and I could bring a physical manifestation to the soul within.
June 12th, 1887. I've isolated the chemicals that I am sure will ignite the body's furnace and initiate a transformation to the inner soul form. I do not yet know the precise combination and tremble at the thought of experimenting on a living thing. Is it a greater sin to try or not to try?
Now, Henry, if you gave a physical manifestation of man's evil nature, then wouldn't that creature be pure evil?
Gabriel, surely you're not about to give into this preposterous theory of his.
Theory, Hasty, if you could.
September 16th, 1887. Failure. No combination has worked on any of my test subjects. My laboratory is now littered with dead horned rabbits.
Gabriel, you have an interesting point. Would this new creature be pure evil? Perhaps, if you chose to look at it that way. But imagine what the original side, free of this evil side, could do. Imagine what the good side could accomplish.
Gabriel, your theoretical assertions, and frankly your fairy tales, are well and good, but this paper of yours, actually listing chemicals that could have a transformative effect. You all would say you could take your magic formula, inject the Prime Minister, and turn him into Attila the Hun. It's preposterous. It crosses into witchcraft, into heresy.
November
school, Casey, was my way of showing the public and my colleagues my work and my goals, and what I believe to be the future of transcendental medicine.
Transcendental medicine.
Casey, if all men of science were like you, we'd still be living in caves, marveling at that big ball of fire in the sky. You know full well that a sulfide when mixed with a...
December 20th, 1887. I can do no wrong, it seems. My every experiment succeeds. I now have a veritable menagerie of animals, which I can transform from their normal state to one of unbridled strength, fury, and energy. The question remains, will it work on humans? And is this a question I dare ask?
Well, we mustn't go into chemical specifics in front of Gabriel here. We three hardly ever come together anymore, and here you and I are, boring our legal-minded friend to death.
Oh, not at all, Henry. You mustn't think me completely devoid of scientific knowledge. Oh, I've never invented a formula.
Well, now, I didn't say I had invented it.
January 5th, 1888, 11:02 p.m. I write this entry with my right hand as 11:39 p.m. The effects of the half dosage had faded, and I am more or less back to normal, with my full and my healthy hand. But momentarily I was no longer Henry Jekyll, it seemed. I could barely rise, glance at myself in the looking glass. The pain was so great. The results are remarkable. Do I dare a full dosage?
But I could always follow a recipe.
Yes, well, perhaps we'd all be better off as chefs.
Now, speaking of man's evil nature, my nephew Richard Enfield should be stopping by tonight.
Evil side indeed. Oh, that's rather dreadful, Gabriel. I'd rather do like young Enfield.
You know, I love him like a son, Henry.
He is a little wild, perhaps, though I do feel he's one we can take a lesson after.
What do you mean by that?
Well, look at the three of us. Hair gray, eyesight fading, our lives more than half over, though I doubt they ever really began. None of us married, and we used to call ourselves the Three Musketeers, but what right had we? When did we ever duel for men's honor or fight for justice? When did we ever do anything more adventurous than lace up our own boots? Though that is more adventurous for some than others.
Henry, what has gotten into you?
No, he has a point. We are all at that stage in our life when we're wondering what would have happened if we let the evil side rule us once in a while.
Yes, exactly.
But, Henry, aren't we all finally happy with the decisions we made? Aren't we all successful?
Here, here.
Certainly, in the most pedestrian way imaginable. Look at us, 2 doctors and a lawyer. Since when has one room housed 3 more respectable members of society? And isn't that, in the least bit, distressing to you?
Henry, are you strange with melodramatic?
I'm quite content with the mystery in my life coming from the tomes of Poe and Doyle that reside in my bookshelf. Thank you.
Not an ally to be found, not between my 2 oldest friends. Perhaps Enfield will understand what I mean when he gets here.
I'm afraid Richard might not agree with you either. It's been a while since the last time we saw Henry. He's picked up the study of law, and the reason for his visit tonight is that I may meet his fiancée.
Fiancé, Enfield, you're getting married.
Yes. Helen O'Neill is the girl's name, I believe.
Irish?
No, American, actually. Richard went to go sow his last few wild oats and came back with a bride.
All set to lock up his evil side with a band of gold. He washed away his youthful sins with a bad price.
See what I mean? Dramatic. Every time.
No, of course I do wish Enfield all the best. Though, we will miss living vicariously through his exploits. Those he felt free to tell us about, of course.
Mr. Richard Enfield, here to see you, sir.
Miss Early, come in.
Uncle! Oh, I didn't know the whole crew would be here. Helen, this is my uncle, Gabriel John Utterson, and his friends, Dr. Langan and Dr. Jekyll. Gentlemen, this is my fiancée, Helen O'Neill. How do you do, gentlemen?
Is this the face that launched 1,000 ships and... Oh, dear, how is it?
And burn the topless towers of Ilium.
Sweet Helen,
Make me immortal with a kiss.
My. Uncle, you don't suppose Dr. Jekyll has intentions towards my fiancée?
No, of course not, Enfield. Miss O'Neill, you know you're marvelous.
Well, Dr. Jekyll, when your name is Helen, you hear that fairly often.
I imagine you do.
And Henry Jekyll is a name you hear fairly often, too.
You've heard of me.
Oh, I'm a great admirer of yours. I read every paper I could find when I was at school.
The Americans send their women off to school, if you can believe that.
Well, I doubt they taught you theoretical biology.
No, that I had to pick up myself. But I always found your work fascinating.
That's very flattering.
We must spend some time together, Doctor. I would love to discuss some of your theories. Though I'm quite an amateur.
Yes, we must.
Oh, wonderful. Now my fiancée must spend all her time in Dr. Jekyll's musty old laboratory.
Hardly, Richard. You know I'm all yours.
I'd say I've done rather well for myself. Eh, Uncle?
I quite agree. But tell me, you haven't held the lid, have you?
Oh, no. An affectation. I picked it up while I was in Africa. Thought it might make me look distant, but surprisingly enough, it did. Then I realized I would need a beautiful woman to complete the look. And sure enough, I found one.
Well, he has a certain point. She is awfully beautiful.
Better than anything deserves.
What's happening?
Were you coveting another man's wife, Dr. Jekyll? Wife to be anyway.
Or thinking about what might have been.
If you'd ever been in love.
In lust.
I will take no more of this.
I will take no more of this.
Come, Dr. Jekyll, you're only human.
You can evil side as well.
Now, what's this in your pocket?
That's just a card. A young lady gave it to me. I saw her limping down the street. She twisted her ankle. I helped mend it.
Quite the angel of mercy, aren't you, Doctor?
Well,
The address on this card. It's not a place that gentlemen like yourself go.
Or at least it's where they don't want people to know they go.
look, I assure you, I don't frequent this sort of establishment.
I remember this girl now. She was very pretty.
Not quite as pretty as that Helen O'Neill, but still.
Look, I don't know what you're trying to insinuate, but
If I remember, you never told her your name was Dr. Jekyll.
well, I felt no need for her to be spreading my name around with her colleagues.
So you told her your name was Mr. Hyde.
Well, I was near Hyde Park. It just came to me.
Well, why don't you go check in on her?
Well,
I'm sure she'll be very grateful. You've already decided to go, Dr. Jekyll.
You needn't do anything you don't want to.
An establishment, as Dr. Jekyll called it.
The next day,
A dingy front room, stained wallpaper, filthy floor.
a bar
And a door.
Oh, good afternoon, Professor. Not every day we see a gentleman like yourself around here.
I'm here to see a young lady.
Well, we have plenty of those.
No, Ivy, what's her name?
Oh, Ivy, a popular choice. I'll tell you what. If you can answer my riddle, I'll let you see Ivy.
What?
That's the way it starts, Professor. What is it that has two identical faces, as different as night and day?
What?
Sorry, Professor. No answer, no Ivy.
What?
What? I'm just kidding with you, Professor. I think Ivy's with the customer right now, though, so perhaps you'd like to...
So, Mr. Enfield, now that you're getting married, will I never see you again?
Ivy. Has the sun stopped shining just because they've invented electric lights?
Mr. Enfield?
Good day, Doctor.
Thanks, Mr. Hyde.
Good day, Ivy.
My ankle's all better, Mr. Hyde. See?
Excellent, Ivy.
Is that all you wanted to see her for, then, sir?
Yes, that is all.
Are you sure, Mr. Hyde?
Yes, Ivy. Go and dress your ankle.
Well, all right then.
So, Mr. Hyde, is it? As in hide and seek?
No, borrow the name of a friend. Mr. Enfield, I'm shocked to see you here.
I'm not married quite yet, Doctor.
But Miss O'Neill is so...
Helen is wonderful, of course. But we won't be married until June, and a man has certain requirements.
I heard what you said to the young lady.
You're hardly in a position to criticize me, Mr. Hyde. Look, we merely have to be gentlemen about this. Nobody need know that either of us were here.
I'm here purely for reasons of my profession.
Not even that. You were never here at all.
Mr. Enfield,
Say, friend, can you get Mr. Hyde here into Sybil's room?
Sybil's room? Sybil doesn't go for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you know. But... the Professor might be your type. and it looks like you can pay, so I'll give Sybil a show.
You'll thank me for that. From what I hear, a visit with Sybil is, well, I prefer mine with a bit less window dressing, but from those who've been to Sybil's
Mr. Enfield.
Right. Not another word. Gentleman's silence.
Here's luck, Professor. Sybil's available. Well, are you going in?
No. Yes. Yes, I am.
Why, Dr. Jekyll, I'm shocked.
Well, I...
He just wants to have a good time. Why should that Enfield get to have all the fun?
That Mr. Enfield, what a cad. That beautiful Helen, and he comes here.
To Sybil's room.
Much cleaner than the other rooms, pleasant in its way.
One chair.
One bed,
A door to an inner chamber.
and a door to the hall.
Miss Sybil?
Yes, I'm Sybil, Mr.
Hyde. Edward Hyde.
Very well, Mr. Edward Hyde. You seem like the type who likes to tap things out a bit first.
I suppose, yes.
So tell me about yourself. What do you do?
I'm a musketeer.
A what?
A hunter. Big game. Used to be.
Since you hurt your hand.
Oh, yes. When I was younger, mountaineering accident. I used to go on all sorts of expeditions.
Sailed around the world in search of adventure, huh?
Quite. The Orient, Patagonia, Africa.
Africa? I've always loved Africa.
Have you been?
No, not much chance for travel in my line of work, but I've read. Did you see many wild animals in it?
Why, yes, I saw lots. I shot a lion with my bare hands.
That's some trick, right?
Well, you know what I mean.
Did you see any zebras?
Why?
I don't know. I've always liked the zebra. Such a beautiful idea. The black stripes and the white stripes. They're opposites, right? Yet there they are together on one animal. Sure, I suppose some other animals have that too. Cows. Cows are either white cows with some black or black cows with some white. With the zebra, you can't tell if it's a white horse with black stripes or a black horse with white stripes. It's all blended up, you know?
Yes, I know.
So what do you do? The white horse or the black?
Oh, I'm the black horse. Yes, I've done my fair share of black deeds here and there and here.
You sound dangerous.
There.
I like dangerous.
You've never been afraid of anything in your life, have you?
No, not for very long. You won't last long out there if you let things make you afraid.
All right, enough talk. Let's just...
Come on down. Pardon me, sir. Sorry.
That doesn't sound like a very good cough.
Oh, just a touch of cold. I can take care of myself.
Not well enough, it seems.
Mr. Hyde.
Breathe. Again. Miss Sybil, you have bronchitis.
What?
It's not too serious, but you certainly shouldn't be doing this.
What are you talking about?
You need to stay in bed, and I mean resting, on clean sheets. Get plenty of fluids, milk, tea, not beer, and you should be well in a few days.
You're not really a big game hunter, are you?
No, I'm not.
And your name's not really Hyde, is it?
No, Hyde is the name of a friend of mine. My name is Jekyll.
In your hands?
Oh, my hands have been crippled since birth.
My. You're the famous Dr. Jekyll, aren't you? You're always in the newspapers, curing this, discovering that. What in heaven's name are you doing in a place like this? Not the sort of place I'd expect you to be.
No, you're right. This isn't the sort of place for Dr. Jekyll, is it? Dr. Jekyll doesn't do this sort of thing. Dr. Jekyll's pleasures, whatever they may be, come from the mind, not from the flesh.
I didn't mean it like that. Why don't you come back over here? I can start resting tomorrow.
No, you were right. It was foolish for me to come here and think that I could escape. Good day, Mr. Bring me the chemicals.
Surely you don't mean it.
Bring them.
The laboratory of Dr. Henry Jekyll, 3 days later.
A quiet chamber in the back of his home, where the servants are never permitted to go.
A table, shelf after shelf of scholarly books, chemicals, and tools of the trade.
One desk,
A chair,
door to the rest of the house.
and another door to the street.
It's finished.
The serum is?
Yes, it is.
Are you sure, Doctor?
Yes, I'm quite sure that the full dosage will make the transformation complete.
And a second dose will change your back.
Of course. Of course.
Well, are you sure it's wise to take it?
Of course it is. Dr. Jekyll could never see Sybil again. But maybe this Mr. Hyde fellow could.
But then to Edward Hyde, may he be everything that I'm not.
Edward Hyde, I assume.
That's right. That's right.
It must be nice to be out.
Oh, it is. It is. I'm leaving. I'm leaving quick. My coat.
Mr. Hyde, you can't just come bursting out of the laboratory like this. What would the servants say?
Oh, right. Of course. The back door.
Again, the front room of the,
Establishment.
as before, a bar and a door.
Greetings, friend.
Do I know you?
12 o'clock.
What?
12 o'clock. What's it that's got two identical faces that are as different as night and day? 12 o'clock.
Yeah, that's real good.
Oh, ask me another. Ask me how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, or how many devils it would take to knock them off. Ask me how many blows it would take to kill you.
Listen, what the hell do you want?
Sybil. Take me to see Sybil.
What?
What? What's the matter, friend? Deaf? I said Sybil. I'm here for Sybil.
Sybil's not available. Not for the likes of you.
Listen, friend, it is very simple, and there's no reason anyone should be harmed. You just tell Sybil that Edward Hyde is here.
You're not Edward Hyde. He was here, what, 3 or 4 days ago?
An imposter. But I'm Edward Hyde, and I will be seeing Sybil now.
But
Now!
What's this?
this man is here to see you.
Have we met?
Edward Hyde.
And I'm Queen Vicky herself.
No, far more lovely and far more deserving of a crown.
Thanks, Sam. That'll be all.
But Sybil, I...
It'll be fine, Sam.
Sybil, you are as...
Flattery only gets you so far, Mr. Hyde. We can't have you doing that to Sam. We don't put up with that rubbish here. We have rules.
I don't abide by rules.
Around here you will. Now, I've got a soft spot for Mr. Hyde, and I'd say that's what you are. But even they have to follow the rules or it's out the door with them.
And who will put me out?
I will. I've dealt with your sort before, and I'm still here. This is my place. I say what goes, understand?
All right. I'll play your game.
Then we have an understanding. Lord, you're an ugly fellow.
Oh, do I frighten you?
No, I've seen worse. Something about your eyes. So I've heard a bit about you from your friend, Dr. Jekyll.
Dr. Jekyll is no friend of mine.
No, I don't suppose he is. I don't see how a man like you would
Man,
like him.
man, Henry Jekyll is no man. He's a mouse in a waistcoat. A pitiful Piccadilly substitute for a man.
Funny, spoke highly of you, in a way.
Did he?
Well, I didn't find it all that funny, but, shall we find a place a little more private?
Right, yes, of course.
Through this doorway?
The laboratory of Dr. Henry Jekyll, several hours later.
The door to the house and the door to the street.
Dr. Jekyll? Dr. Jekyll?
Dr. Jekyll?
What?
Dr. Jekyll, it's morning. Mr. Poole is knocking.
Oh, Poole.
Dr. Jekyll?
One moment, Poole.
I'm sorry, Paul. I've been working late. I must have fallen asleep.
I thought as much, sir. Though there's a guest here to see you. Shall I send her away?
Her?
Yes, a young lady, a Miss O'Neill.
Oh, no, please. Send her.
Right away, sir.
Dr. Jekyll!
Miss O'Neill, please pardon my appearance and the status of my laboratory.
Oh, hardly.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Well, actually, it's a medical question. I know you don't really practice medicine anymore.
Well, I'm willing to make exceptions.
Seeing as we're practically family, I might as well call you my Uncle Henry.
Indeed. Where are you feeling ill?
Well, it's not so much as... Well, look at this. What do you think?
I think it's a very lovely neck.
No, no. Don't you see this strange little mark?
Oh, that. Perhaps it's just a blemish.
Well, that's what everybody says. But it's been there for almost a year now, and it just won't go away.
Really?
Yes, and here's what's unusual. It's been there since, well, my sister died 11 months ago.
Oh, dear, that's dreadful.
She was my twin sister. And of course, we were very close.
Of course.
The day after she died, this mark appeared, and it won't go away.
Well,
Oh, don't think I'm terribly naive, Doctor. I don't think it's the spirit of my sister haunting me somehow.
well, that may not be as far-fetched as it may sound. You see, your grief may have taken on a physical manifestation, appearing as a blemish on your neck. It is my firm belief that our emotional and our physical lives are intimately intertwined. Changing one affects the other.
Oh, yes. Like your Cain and Abel article about the dual nature of man.
You read that piece?
Yes, I've read everything of yours. I love your mind.
Thank you.
That one in particular was so fascinating. Could those chemicals really bring about a physical transformation?
Anything is possible.
But you suggested such a large amount of potassium. Wouldn't that be lethal?
Of course, that amount would stop men's heart in an instant. There was a typographical error. It was supposed to be 3 parts per 100, not 30. I took the editor rather to task for that. He assured me no one would notice, and no one had, until you.
Well, it just seems so obvious.
Indeed.
I can't stop thinking about that article, though. Something like that is of special interest to a twin. It's as if my whole life, that